The lineup for Lollapalooza just got announced. The 4-day festival is returning on July 28th. So we got to talk all things festivals. I mean, it's not just Lollapalooza, but it's Windy City Smokeout, it's Pitchfork, it's all these things happening in July that we are excited about now. We have our friend Dash for the mix here to chat all about it. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, talk about an insane July. If you're going to go to all three big festivals happening that month, my wallet, your wallet, it's going to hurt. I'm like, do I budget for water in there? Am I budgeting for food at these festivals? Maybe not. Like, I just want to be able to go. Hopefully the water's free. Cause I mean, Lala's lineup, I think is insane. And I don't think they're done. I think we're going to see some more headliners trickle in the next couple of months. I'm also super excited to see how they break it down by day because we don't know that either yet.
We don't know the days yet. Let's talk headliners: Metallica, J. Cole, Dua Lipa, and Green Day. Initial thoughts when you saw that lineup?
It's a little light, I feel like, in comparison to last year, and that's kind of what you're hearing around the web too from other Chicagoans and other people that love going to Lollapalooza. But I feel like just below those big headliners, there's some really great artists too. Like, I mean, Doja Cat's technically there, Glass Animals, Big Sean, Willow's there, the Wallows, which is Dylan Minette's band from 13 Reasons Why. It's a Chicago-based indie band. Like, they're going to be there too. Local natives. Like, there's kind of some bands where I'm like, wow, you got put really low on the list. Like Gail with her huge hit ABCDEFU, which was a huge viral hit on TikTok. You got King Princess, Dominic Fike, who's coming off of an impressive acting turn on Euphoria as Elliot, is going to be there. His song 3 Nights was huge a couple of years ago. And at Perry Stage, Tovlo, Kygo, those are going to be some fun artists to dance around to too. I don't usually plan on going to Perry Stage. It just happens. It's like on the way from like BMI to the other end of Grant Park. I'm just like, wow, this is a fun beat. And you just kind of like migrate over and dance for a little while if you have 15 minutes till Lizzo starts or whoever else.
Major Lazer, when they were there, that was the time that they spent the most amount of time there at the Perry Stage.
Oh my God. Right. It's a hot and sweaty area and it's no longer in a tent, at least. So like there's actual ventilation. But I loved it. Yeah. I mean, Joyner Lucas, Daisy the Great, the Wombats really fun band. They have a song called Let's Dance to Joy Division. That's like one of my favorite childhood songs. So even if it's just for that one song, I'm going to have to go see them. Tinashe, I wouldn't be that surprised if Chance comes out and they do All My Friends, because that was the song they had together that I feel like played every single night I was drinking in college. But it would be super cool to like see even like an Avril Lavigne get added, because you've already got this Machine Gun Kelly, Willow, Travis Barker's obviously going to be there. He's the drummer for both of them thing going on. So I'm like, let's add a little bit more angst in there. Like, let's get an Avril Lavigne too. That'd be super sweet.
That would be fun. But also, you think of the after parties and you think Machine Gun Kelly, are you going to bring, is Megan Fox coming to town? Are the Kardashians coming to town? Who's also going to be coming to our city during that weekend?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. The thing is, like, The Weeknd, let's talk about him too. He's touring, doing a stadium tour with Doja Cat. And they're in Chicago right around that time. Doja Cat's actually doing Lollapalooza. So I wouldn't be that surprised, as much as it's a crazy thought, if The Weeknd ended up doing a set at Lollapalooza too.
Because there are certain acts that don't book Chicago. So I think sometimes people have a premonition of a big act coming through and they play Milwaukee, they play Indianapolis, and somehow skip our city. So you're like, they've got to come here. So I didn't think Doja Cat was going to be performing at Lollapalooza because she does have that tour there with The Weeknd. So that was a fun surprise.
Totally. Yeah. It's interesting too. I mean, a lot of the artists do after shows or private shows in the days before, the days after. And like, I had a friend who last year, he was like, oh, I just saw Angels and Airwaves at their show they did yesterday, so I don't need to see them at Lala. And I was like, well, I didn't see them at the show they did yesterday at the Park West, so I want to go see Tom DeLonge. And that was really funny because we got a little bit of Blink-182 via him being there at Lollapalooza with Angels and Airwaves. And we might get a little bit of Blink-182 because Travis Barker's the drummer for Machine Gun Kelly and for Willow Smith. So I'm excited. There's a lot of random stuff that could come out of the lineup that we already have. And I think we're not done getting artists yet.
And Mark Hoppus, not to, obviously let's have a whole conversation about Blink-182, but Mark Hoppus obviously doing a lot better, posting those updates on social media too. So hopefully, maybe he'll just come along and watch and hang out, for that weekend as well.
Yeah. And there's some great indie artists at Lala this year. I mean, King Princess and Daisy the Great and local natives, but like, 2 weeks before, what is it, at Union Square Park, like you could be a Pitchfork And the vibes at Pitchfork this year, I think, will be pretty good too. Between, I mean, you got the National and you've got Spiritualized and the Roots. Sunday, I think, is my favorite day. You've got the Roots, Toro Imoy, Earl Sweatshirt, No Name Gypsy. I wouldn't be that surprised if you end up seeing Chance show up at that one too, because him and No Name have collaborated forever. And it's just a vibe. I feel like every Chicago-based artist hangs out at Pitchfork, even if it's just backstage.
I mean, it's just that too, but we also have Windy City Smokeout taking place right outside the United Center. Willie Nelson, Tim McGraw, Miranda Lambert, delicious barbecue food from all across the country there, especially, from Texas and from Tennessee and Kentucky, and of course our Chicagoland spots too. So, I mean, you could make July, if you want to get every type of music out there and enjoy it, you can definitely have all your weekends in July to plan for.
Yeah, I'm staying in now in preparation. I'm putting money into a savings account so that I can afford every piece of barbecue they have at Windy City Smokeout. Sure.
Going back to Lollapalooza, let's go back and talk a little bit about the headliners, because Metallica, they recently did a surprise show at the Metro. Fans had to go ahead and line up, so people got a little glimpse of that. They may do another surprise show here. Dua Lipa was just at the United Center, so fans, high off that show or maybe didn't get tickets or want to see her again, go check her out at Lollapalooza. And then Green Day did that tour with Fall Out Boy and Weezer at Wrigley Field last year. So this is a good way to go ahead and check them out again.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that so many people are coming back. It usually feels like Lollapalooza is the return of a band you haven't seen in Chicago in a little while. And we had a huge couple of weeks where it was like back to back Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish, and Glass Animals all performing in Chicago. And that was like in the past month. And they're all coming back for Lollapalooza. I wish Billie Eilish would get added. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, it seems like people are happy to keep coming back to Chicago. They want to do Lala and they want to perform here in regular concerts.
Oh, exactly. We got to see what days end up breaking down and who's going with who, because obviously, people have their favorite headliners, but then also you never know who of like the next tier acts, Doja Cat, Glass Animals, Kygo, if you're going to be able to, who's going to play when and, who can you catch at what point?
Totally. I mean, I had a lot of fun seeing 2 p.m. slot artists last year. That was one of my favorite things. If I could get away from like the artist interviewing area and actually see some artists for a little while, whether it was Chicago-based artist Austin, she performed 3 different times, or Ty Verdes was kind of more of a midday artist last year, and then had one of the biggest albums of the year. And AOK was like an anthem via the pandemic. It was like, oh, we're all doing AOK. So it was really cool to talk to him after he had lost his voice because he performed like 3 or 4 different days in a row at Lollapalooza.
At Lollapalooza. And the other thing too is, let's chat a little closer towards July. I mean, obviously we'll chat, before then, but also I think a lot of people might see the headliners, might see the next acts, and some of the other people but may not know all the names. But these are the hits that are going to be coming out in May, in June, that you're going to look back, because Dua Lipa, she's been on the bill. She was at Lollapalooza 2016 and 2018. So she played some of the smaller stages. Now she's playing a headlining stage. So you never know who you're going to see early on in the day that is going to end up headlining the festival, 2 or 3 years from now.
Totally. And I tell people this story all the time. It was the first time I saw Kings of Leon headline at Lollapalooza. They said like, hey, some of you were probably here 5 years ago when we played a smaller stage at 2 p.m. There were like 20 people. Thank you for supporting us then. This one's for you. So if you're one of those people who got to see Dua Lipa, maybe you're one of the first 100 people in 2016 or 2015 to see her, and you get to see her again this year, I'm sure you will get a quick thanks for doing that.
Yeah, that was the one of the stories that she mentioned at the recent show at the United Center. She said she played Lollapalooza early on. She opened up for the 1975, and those were her 2 big U.S. gigs. Like that was the first time that U.S. audiences got to see her, and she gave a shout out to Chicago, which is always nice to have those personalized stories of a huge artist, but though those fans now have a story to tell for the rest of their lives.
Totally. And they always have a story about how the night before their concert someone gave them Lou Malnati's pizza and they were not expecting to eat 4 pounds of pizza before performing, and they're like, I am still full from last night eating a ton of Lou Malnati's because it was amazing but very heavy.
but I eat it all the time as well too, and I always think like, oh, it'll be a nice light meal, and I was like, I know I'm eating 4 pounds of cheese, but like I do it anyway. You got to do it.
Yeah, you can't stop me. When something tastes that good, there's no portion control.
And obviously, the final thing let's chat about is street festivals. Hope, they haven't really announced, but there's really nothing like summer with a cold beer in your hand, listening to 16 Candles or Rod Tough Girls or Wedding Band or, one of the awesome, cover bands here in our city.
Totally. I mean, whether it's like the Pride Fest or the Blues Fest or Taste of Chicago, or even just like a smaller like Logan Square Art Fest, or one day you're walking down Wells and there's like a random, just every Sunday there's pop-up like little vendors. Like those are amazing at any capacity. And you can always, I think every Sunday starting in April, go down to Maxwell Street Fair on Sundays. And that's the coolest flea market. It's 100 years old. And it's so much different than any other like market in Chicago or fair in Chicago. But also, if you keep your ear to the ground, last week I was at like Mars Brewing Company. They had a pop-up thrifted vinyl and stylish clothes pop-up with like a ton of different cool Chicago artist vendors. So like if you keep your ear to the ground, you find smaller stuff like that. That's like amazing too. There's always something going on in our city.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many people actually go how many Chicagoans actually travel in the summer months, because there's so much to do here that it's like you don't want to miss anything, that you're like, I'm going to travel in like October because I don't want to miss any of these fun things that are happening in the city.
Totally. I mean, unless like you're like me and your window AC unit just makes your ComEd bill $200 a month, like there's no reason to leave Chicago, especially not in the summer. I think we're the best summer city in the world. I think even in the winter, we're one of the best cities in the world. But like, yeah, if you're going to leave, do it in December, or do it in February. Like Chicago in the summer, there's so much to be missed if you leave.
Exactly. You don't want to miss, three of the biggest festivals here taking place in July. We have Windy City Smokeout, we've got Pitchfork, and we got the newly announced Lollapalooza. 4-day tickets, passes on sale now, and then we'll wait for the single day tickets. They'll probably go on sale in the next couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, we'll have to talk closer to that because I'm excited to see how it all shakes out.
Awesome. Go ahead and give him a follow at Live with Dash on Instagram. And thanks so much for your time today.
Dude, thank you, Rudy. You're the best. I find out so much about what I'm going to do next weekend just listening to this show.
Awesome. You're the best. Thank you so much.
Thanks.